Hey everybody, welcome to the Recovery Clinic. My name is Ashley and I'm going to be your host today. Jimmy is under the weather. We hope he and his family start to feel a little bit better soon. Today I've got Sean Willits. Sean is a peer for the Hot Springs Police Department. Hey Sean, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Great. So tell me, how was your drive up here?
It was pretty awesome.
So whenever I got here, Sean pulled into the parking lot, and he's driving one of the police department cars. And he said that everybody was going slower than him in front of him on the interstate. It's kind of strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, Sean, tell me about yourself.
Well, first of all, I should have brought me a fancy notebook with blank pages on it like you got, so it looks like I'm looking at something. I got these phones, so it'll look like I've got some stuff. But yeah, I'm Sean, 33. I'm in long-term recovery. I work for the police department. You know, I started out with, I went back to the treatment center that I went to and worked there at the lowest position that they had overnights at first, which sucked. And then eventually I got promoted. You know, there was a guy there that was working there when I went to treatment there, and he moved on to another job, so I got promoted to that, which was PRSS, which is what we're doing now. And I went and did the core training for it, came back, did that for a while, then that treatment center shut down. So I went to doing construction for a little bit, and then I got the CIT certification and went back to another treatment center doing that. And now I work at the police department as a PRSS for them, which is like completely brand new. You know, for them, I'm the first person that they've ever hired with my background, so it's pretty cool.
Right. Okay, so we're going to come back to that. Tell me, Sean, how did you get started in life, early in life? What brought you to where you are today?
I started out drinking milk.
Okay. And then what happened?
Well, I don't know. I guess the same thing as pretty much everybody else. You know, just grew up, went to school. When I got out of school and went into the Army, did that, got out of the Army, came back, and it was, you know, I was like 21 years old and, you know, didn't really know how to live life. The time that I was in the Army, you know, I had the government telling me how to live my life.
Right.
Which I hated, but it worked for me because there was somebody telling me what to do, you know. So when I came home, I was free, you know, and I took advantage of that. You know, I realized that I could call into work and just take the day off and not be AWOL, you know. So I did that about 2 or 3 times a week. Just call in just because I didn't want to go to work that day. And pretty soon, you know, it'd be hard, it'd be difficult to pay bills. My life started becoming unmanageable before I even started using substances.
Right.
So then I remember one day I had a really bad headache and I was super stressed out, and somebody had gave me a hydrocodone. You know, they were like, just take this will get rid of the headache. And I remember I took it, and I had taken them before, like for pain, like for my knees hurting or whatever, and it didn't have the same effect that it had this, you know, on that day, where it's like got rid of the headache and it seemed like it got rid of everything else, you know. So like, then there's like a light switch that flipped off in my brain that day, and from that moment on, that's how I dealt with life. You know, I'd take these pills, and then it would get to where first I just did it on the weekends, you know, and then I did it like at night, every couple nights, and I did it every night. And then I actually started becoming physically addicted to them before I even knew it, like, you know, psychologically, because I was getting sick. Like if I'd wake up in the morning, go to work, not take the pills, you know, because I was going to take them whenever I got home, and I'd be sick. Like I'd have like diarrhea, you know, I have to keep going to the bathroom, and I ended up going to the doctor. They were doing all these tests on me, you know, trying to see if I have Crohn's disease and stuff, which I had no idea what was going on. And I remember I was talking to one of my buddies one time, and he was like, are those pain pills curing? You know, they're making you feel better? And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, they don't prescribe pain pills for diarrhea, you know. So like if those are making you feel better, you might be withdrawing, you know, and that, you know, I'd never considered it. So from that moment forward, I started taking them all the time so that I wouldn't be sick. You know?
Right.
And it just progressed from there. You know, I started taking them different ways instead of just swallowing it. And then, you know, it's like I couldn't stop. That's just how I lived life. And then it even got to a part where I started to not like it anymore, but I was just doing it so I wouldn't be sick, you know. And I started going to treatment centers, you know. I went to, over the course of like 10 years of me, you know, it was about 10 or 11 years of me using, there was like 7 treatment centers and 14 overdoses.
Right. So clearly pills were not your end all. It got a lot worse, a lot more unmanageable.
Right. They were the stepping stone to it.
Right. So tell us about your overdoses. Whenever we were getting ready to do this story, you told me that you had overdosed how many times?
14, but that's 14 where I had to be taken to a hospital and Narcaned and brought back.
Right.
I'm not counting the times where I just like fell out by myself and came to, you know.
Right. So what was your final downfall? What was it that brought you to your knees and you said, okay, that's it, I give up, I surrender, what do we do now?
Well, that started happening before it happened, you know. Like I had got to the point, I remember I told one of my buddies, he had taken me to the hospital during 3 different, you know, I was with him on 3 different times I overdosed where he took me to the hospital. And I was riding around with him one day and I was like, man, look, I was like, if that happen, you know, if this keeps happening, if it happens again, you know, just leave me somewhere. Quit taking me to the hospital, you know, because I started to just accept that I was stuck, you know, in this. Like I was never going to be able to get out of it because I had went to 7 treatment centers. You know, I tried this and tried that, and I was convinced that I was smarter than everybody else at the treatment center. You know, so I would go. They'd be like, get a sponsor, work the steps, and I'd be like, that you needed that, you know, I didn't. So I would come up with something, you know, I'd move, I wouldn't move, you know, I'd go on like some vacation, I wouldn't go on a vacation, you know, whatever. I tried all kinds of different stuff and nothing would really work. And so the last time that I overdosed was like a week before I went to treatment, and it was in the middle of a Walgreens. And I remember whenever I came to, it was in the Walgreens. You know, they had to do whatever they had to do in the Walgreens, and I came to, and I thought I'd been abducted by aliens, and I didn't know what was going on because they had to hit me with Narcan twice and then use the defibrillator, you know, to bring me back. So I woke up and there was all these people surrounding me, and I tasted this burnt metal taste in my mouth, you know, and I was like freaking out. I didn't want to go with them, and then I realized, okay, they're not aliens. You know.
Right.
And whenever I went back, you know, they forced me to go in the ambulance to the hospital because they weren't just going to release me from Walgreens right then. And we went back. They're rolling me back to a room, and I'm like, "Hey, I need to get out of here. I don't need to be here." And the lady at the triage desk in there, she was like, "That's Sean. He's here a couple times a week." She's like, "Don't worry, he's harmless."
Wow.
You know, and she was like, you know, asked me if I wanted the AMA papers, and then I left, and on my way out, one of the paramedics that was there that saved my life, he come running and followed me out, you know, and he was like, you know, telling me what everybody always tells me. He's like, you really need to, you know, you need to figure something out. You got to do something, you know, go to treatment. And I was like, yeah, I've been there 6 times. That ain't working, you know. And he was like, well, just try it one more time, you know. And I was like, all right, I'll try it again. And he was like, just this time, do something different that you haven't done before. All right, so I did. And
what was it that was different this time?
Well, they told me to get a sponsor and work the steps every time, and I never did that, so that was something that I did different. And it has, for me, worked out so far.
So let's talk about your pathway. What all does that entail? What all do you do on a daily basis to keep yourself in check?
Yeah, I have like a little routine, and I didn't create this. This has been going on for 100 years. People passing this down, telling other people to do it. But I wake up in the morning and I pray, you know, and I ask God to, you know, keep me sober. say, I have I'm a 12 steps. That's my pathway. So, I have a 3rd step prayer. I say that, and I ask God to direct my thinking and help me to not be narcissistic and selfish,
Right.
Go throughout my day. In the evening, I think about the day. I think about the things that have happened, how I treated people, how they treated me, if I was wrong about something, I try to make sure that I go back and try to fix that
right
immediately.
And do you thank God for keeping you off the milk that day?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, that's a big thing. Is I say, in the morning I say, please keep me sober. And at the end of the day, I say, thank you for keeping me sober.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. That is awesome. So, how long ago has it been since you went to treatment and started this new way of life?
A little over 3 years.
A little over 3 years. So, in that 3 years, tell me about, I talk a lot about it whenever I got into recovery, that I didn't get back relationships or things. I got them for the first time. Because realistically, I never had any of the things that I have now before. I didn't. So tell me about the things that you obtained in this new life, or things that you got back.
Right, so like the relationships, like with my family and stuff, they'll tell you, I had a good relationship with them growing up, and then I went down the path that I went down, which kind of burned a lot of bridges, but I had this laundry basket. It was this old beat up blue laundry basket, and it had like a metal wire coming out of the top of it, and that was like how I traveled around. I'd just throw stuff in this laundry basket. And my family, my cousin and my aunt, they laugh about it now, but they'd be like, we knew it was bad when Sean showed up with that laundry basket. I'd just show up at the house acting like I lived there, And whenever I went to treatment, that laundry basket, that was all I had. I had the laundry basket, 2 pairs of shorts, 16 phone chargers, and no phone. So
Phone chargers.
yeah, I had a bunch
No
of
phone.
Yeah, a bunch of phone chargers and no phone. I don't know where the phone chargers come from.
And now you got 2. Sit
Yeah.
right here so
And
you
2
can look
different-
cool.
And only 2 chargers.
Only 2 chargers today. Hey, moving on up. All right, so tell me about, you talked about the relationship with your family. You'd show up at the house and they laugh about it now. So that kind of sounds like maybe some of those relationships are being healed or built.
Yeah, definitely. They used to be, whenever I'd show up at their house, it would be like, oh, hide the pills, get rid of the beer. Sean's here with that laundry basket. Now they like me coming over. They like to have me over. They'll call me up and invite me. They like to include me in their plans because, when I come over, they don't have to hide a bunch of crap from me, and I don't show up with a laundry basket, So that's a plus. Same thing with other members of my family. My little brothers, my sister. We've developed good relationships with each other. It's been the family relationships has been very important for me.
Absolutely. So there's one relationship in particular that's extremely important to you right now.
Mm-hmm.
So where in your substance abuse, what was that part of your life where you had your son?
Pretty much all of it.
All of it?
Yeah, and it was difficult, and he basically got the bare minimum. Like I'd have him with me, and he'd have food and stuff, but he just had the bare minimum existence with me, because of me using and the stuff that I was doing. So today, and then we would switch off. He'd go stay with his mother, sometimes, and when he did that, it's like, oh man, I could do whatever I want because I don't got to worry about my kid right now. He'd go stay with her for a few months, and he'd come back and stay with me. Now, he lives with me during the school year because me and his mom have agreed that Lake Hamilton has a really good school. So during the school year, he stays with me. During the summer, he stays with her, and we kind of work together to take care of him. And I get to be a good example of what a man is supposed to be for him. I get to be a good dad, and I can give him a little more than just the bare minimum now.
Right. So I see pictures on Facebook all the time of one of your greatest hobbies. Do you take him fishing with you?
Yes, but the thing is now he likes his tablets and his Xbox and stuff. So I'll take him fishing, and within like 2 minutes he's mad and wants to go back to the air conditioning and play on his tablet. So.
How old is he?
10. He'll be 11 on the 25th of this month.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So, you mentioned a little bit in the beginning, you mentioned about what you do now. So, at what point were you approached, or did you decide or hear about becoming a peer?
The peer, like I said, was back at Quapaw House.
Right.
So when I was working there, the guy, his name is Lance. He worked at Quapaw House, and he got a new job, and so I got promoted into that position, which I wanted to do it anyways, because even when I went through treatment, the things that I got the most out of whenever I was in treatment were his, stuff I got from him. So
shout out to Lance. He's an amazing person in recovery.
Right.
So, and then you said, so he was the one that introduced you to becoming a peer.
Right.
Okay. And so, did you decide to fill out the application to go into core training, or how did that happen?
Yes. Yeah. And I did that, and I got to go. It was in Little Rock, and I worked with Wade. Everybody knows Wade across this entire state somehow.
Absolutely.
So I worked with him, and he helped me get into it. So
that's wonderful. So here recently, you took a new position, and this position is at the police department in Hot Springs, and you are building up a whole program there.
Right.
And you told me that you had overdosed 14 times where you actually had to have medical attention. All right. And during that time, I'm sure that there were various people who said, hey, you need to get some help, you need to get some help. During that period of time, were any of those people also people who were in recovery?
No.
What do you think it would have been like if you had had someone who was also in recovery come to you and say, hey, look, this is something that we can try different. Let's do this. I've been where you're at. Let's do something different. How do you think that would have impacted your life?
Yeah, it would have had a great impact on my life, and it did whenever I came in contact with those people at like the treatment centers, But even just looking at it from a standpoint of compassion, like I told you about that paramedic that came out, and he's not in recovery, but he wasn't being judgmental. He seemed like he legitimately cared, And it's like he's telling me to go. 1,000 people told me to go to treatment. I'm like, nah, but when this dude seemed like he cared and he came and said, try it again, it meant something, and I did it. So
I get that. I can remember one time that I was coming down and I had attempted to take my own life, and I ended up in the ER in Searcy in White County, and there was a nurse there, and she came in, and I was so lost and broken and just, nobody understood what I was going through. And she came in and she said, sweetie, let me tell you something. You don't need to be in this life. This is not for you. She said, your shoes and your belt are bright gold and match. This is not the life for you. This is not what you were made for. And it was just something that simple that has stuck in my mind since then, And then I remember also another point in time where I had a doctor who came in and had told me about his younger brother overdosing and dying from heroin. And, he was really hardcore. He was, one of the physicians that I had along the way that really sticks out in my mind, because he wouldn't let me leave his care until I was going directly into a treatment facility. So I totally understand what you're saying about that. There are a lot of people out there who really don't listen to a lot of the stigma that's placed on people like us.
Right.
So having said that, tell me about what you do today, and talk to me about trying to break that stigma within what you're doing.
All right. So, I work with the police department, and the police chief there has been awesome about it. He's on board with anything that has to do with recovery, And a lot of the police officers that I've come in contact with are the same way, including the detective that I work with. He's got family that's close to people in recovery and some of the programs that are in Hot Springs. So, like, he kind of, you know, understands. Like, they all seem to understand and you know, care about us. So it's really cool and exciting that they're willing to take this other approach, you know, to try to fight towards it.
Absolutely. Shout out to Chief Chapman. Way to go. Like, I've known him a long time myself because I'm originally from Hot Springs, and it's amazing that he has allowed this program, wants this program, not just allowed, but wants this program to come into Hot Springs and really try to help there, because the overdose rate in Hot Springs is through the roof. It's insane. So tell me about what exactly this program is.
It's a, you know, it's under a grant for the opiate epidemic, but it focuses on, with me and an investigator, it focuses on overdoses. So people who are overdosing, to try to get them into recovery so that they don't, you know, keep using and keep overdosing or end up dying. And then, you know, I can also deal with family members of fatal overdoses, you know, and be able to provide support for them. The people that survive the overdoses, you know, I'm able to go and speak to that person from, obviously I'm not judgmental of them, but I've actually been through what they just went through numerous times, you know, and I know exactly how they're feeling and the exact emotions that they're going through.
Right.
So I'm able to go talk to this person, and, you know, sometimes they're just going to be like, nah, leave me alone, you know, but if I could talk to like 4 people and one of them says, yeah, help me, then that's worth it. You know, it's better than it would have been.
And not only that, but you're definitely planting a seed. And if you plant that seed often enough, or,
Right.
you know, they see your face often enough, maybe they'll start to think that there really is something different and better.
Right, and then it's not just the people that are overdosing, you know, so like I am able to reach out to the community and provide anybody struggling with any substance use disorder resources and help to get them into recovery. I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as it has. I even know, you know, the people at the college with the GED program. I mean, it does anything that has to do with recovery that comes from recovery. You know, I'm able to help them do it. If they get into an outpatient program and they're like, well, I don't have a ride, I'll go take them and give them a ride to the outpatient class. You know.
Right. That's amazing. That's awesome. So, take me through an average day for you.
I don't know how to do that because every day is different.
Okay.
You know, and I've only been there for a month, so most of the stuff that we've been doing up until this past week is trying to, you know, get policies and procedures in place and figure out exactly how we're going to go about implementing this.
Right.
And which we have made a lot of progress on that. So.
That's awesome.
Right.
So what is the process? Tell me about, you know.
Well, like Monday, you know, they got Marty in the jail out there, and he's got that treatment program, and there's Amy, who is their peer specialist at the jail. She works with the females in there. So now on Mondays, I'm going out there, like this past Monday, I went out there and talked to 3 of the guys that are, well, I talked to 4 guys, 3 of them that are about to get out soon, about their plans, you know, which he helps them develop an aftercare plan for when they get out, what they're going to do. And so once they leave the doors, now I'm able to help them actually carry that plan out instead of just, a lot of times we go to jail, you know, as soon as you walk out of jail, you done forgot everything you thought about in there.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So now when these people, you know, they know who I am, and then I'm there to help them, so when they get out, they can call me, and I can actually help them carry out those aftercare plans.
Absolutely. Okay. So what Sean is talking about is in the Garland County Jail, they have set up an actual treatment facility so that, you want to explain a little bit more so I don't, do you know a little bit more about that?
Go ahead.
So basically what they do is if someone comes in and they're needing treatment, they can actually go through a full treatment while they're there in custody, which is an amazing thing. And actually, I hope to have Amy Bozeman, who is our peer there, on sometime soon. I'm going to be shouting out to her pretty soon. So, okay, so let's say that you get a phone call about somebody who has been involved in an overdose. Tell me, how does that go down? How does that happen?
Well, when that happens, it's not me that gets the phone call. It usually gets passed down to me and the detective that I work with, and so then we just follow up with it. We go out and talk to them like we did that yesterday. We spoke with a guy who survived an overdose. And the point, my whole scope of it is just to try to help the person decide that recovery is a good idea.
Right.
And a lot of times they're not thinking that. So it's like I have to, go about it a certain way. I have to ask certain questions to where this person comes up with the idea that, I should go to recovery. A lot of times they don't think that way. So that's part of my job, is to help them figure out that it is a good idea.
Absolutely. So talk about, I know you've been out in the community. Now are you trying to break the stigma?
Right, yeah. So that's the number one priority objective of the whole grant, is to address stigma. Because like I said, like when, somebody is suffering from addiction, they're embarrassed about it. They don't want to tell nobody, like they just, they don't reach out for help because they're worried about what society's going to think of them, and that causes people to just stay in what they're doing, and that contributes to the deaths, the overdose deaths. People aren't wanting to go get help. So that is the number one objective of this grant. So I'm trying to, we're trying to come up with ways to address it. So like the one idea that I had was this, we're going to have like a kickball game, in Hot Springs with the police department versus the recovery community. So
Really?
yeah, we're going to like grill some food and stuff. We sent out an email in the police department yesterday, and like I said, Chief Chapman, he was the first person within like 5 minutes. He's like, I'm in. Let me know when we do it. And then there's been a lot of other police officers who have responded to the email and said they're in, they want to play. So I think next week we're going to pick a day and put that out there.
That's awesome.
And it'll probably be in the next month or so.
Absolutely. So tell me what it is that you're doing, what kind of outreach projects you're doing in the community to try to break that stigma.
That is something that I am currently, working on. This is the first thing that I've come up with for that, was the kickball game. So we have to, I want to see how that turns out. I think it's going to be awesome.
I think so too. I'm super excited about it.
I have some other ideas going, so whenever I get some of those things figured out, I'll post it on Facebook. You'll see it.
Absolutely, and I'll definitely go ahead and forward it on out so that everybody that's interested can look at it and see what's going on.
Right.
So,
This is a blank page.
It is. It's completely blank that I'm staring at. I just want to go ahead and do a shout out right now. Anyone who's watching today, if you would just go to the Recovery Clinic AR Facebook page and just make sure that you like that and share it. We want to make sure that Sean's story and what he's trying to do in the community, is known throughout the state, worldwide even. We want to shed as much light on this as possible. Sean, there's so many people who are asking about you. On the weekends, I still work at a local restaurant in Hot Springs. And so the police department is doing a big PR push for you. They're really wanting everyone to know about this new program.
Right.
So whenever I got to Hot Springs last Friday, I pulled in, I'll go into the restaurant where I'm working, and everyone in the restaurant who works there says, "Oh my God, read this, look at this." So they're talking about Sean already there. Then I get home to see my parents that evening, and they're telling me all about what they have read about Sean and how they're passing it on to other people in the community as well. So, that's something that's just amazing. What else is the police department doing to push you?
First of all, though, we got to focus on the fact that this isn't, I'm not anything special. I'm not doing anything a bunch of hundreds of thousands of other people aren't doing. I'm just trying to, these are all things that people did for me, to help me get into recovery. So that's all I'm trying to do. That's all we all try to do. So it's not anything, like I said, it's not some super special thing that I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep, this is how I keep my own recovery. So
by giving back.
Yeah, and they have, so as far as the promotions things, they have the Facebook posts and stuff. There's a radio on 95.7 today. There's commercials about it all day today. And whenever I get back, I have an interview with the Sentinel Record to do for a news story in Hot Springs. So
that's amazing. That is amazing. So while you're building this program, is there anything that you need from any of the communities to help you succeed in doing this?
Not that I'm sure that whenever it comes up, I'll come up with something, but everybody seems to be supportive, and that's the main thing that I need is just support.
Absolutely, I get it. There's a lot of wonderful people who are watching today that are talking about how amazing you are and what you're doing to give back to society, the same society that came and tried to help you.
Right.
Everybody is so excited to hear about this, and the thing is I'm reading over and over 14 overdoses, and yet he's still here. Obviously, God had a plan for you.
Right.
So there's a lot of people that are saying thank you so much for what you're doing, that they're really excited about it. Jimmy McGill is also saying that he's excited that you're breaking the stigma.
Right.
And that's a big thing. That's awesome. Is there anything else that you want to say today to any of our viewers out there? How can, if they have questions or if, they want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
If people want to get in touch with me, there's the, you can call the Hot Springs Police Department. My extension is 7724. And then I have an email address, which is Sean Willits, prss@gmail.com. I have a cell phone, I have a work cell phone, have no idea what the number is, but we can figure out how to get that to people. Yeah.
All right. So, guys, we're so excited that you guys came and sat with us today while we talked about this great new program that he's launching in Hot Springs. I'm super excited about it. Hot Springs needs something like this. We need to break the stigma, and we need to spread this all over Arkansas as well as all over the country.
I will say one more thing. I should have sat on that side because this is the attractive side of my body. So, but.
Yeah. So, guys, everybody, this is Sean Willits. So excited that he's here today. Thank you guys so much, and please, if you have any questions, if you want to contact us about anything, if you also want to get Sean's information again, feel free to send me a message at Recovery Clinic AR on Facebook. Thanks, guys. You guys have a great day.